Doctor Sleep is a horror movie sequel to the classic The Shining. And before we even get into the plot, you have to know that before going into this movie, that just The Shining in general is basically this gift that people get, this light, and that it's basically directly connected with Stephen King's The Dark Tower novels, and that it's just this big connected cinematic universe or novel universe, depending if you read or watch. So, yeah, the plot. Years have gone by since Danny Boy and his mom and dad stayed in this hotel where his dad goes berserk and tries to kill his family. Well, now he's an adult and he carries this trauma with him, and he basically drinks a shitload because he is plagued by the spirits of that hotel still, and he uses his ability of The Shining to kind of trap them in their mind in these boxes. And I mean, Danny's abilities are far more than that. He's just easily one of the strongest with the shine. Well, it's these people, well, you wouldn't even call them people, I guess entity creatures that basically eat the shine, and they've been seeking out people with the shine for, I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. But because they've basically ate everybody with the shine, there's far few in between people with shines anymore, and they're starving, they're hungry. Well, this girl, she's shining super bright, and she is one of the brightest they've seen in a long time. Kind of like Danny, but since Danny's an alcoholic, his is hindered and you can't really see it, it's diluted. And she's just strong. This girl is just massively powerful, and so these people kind of put their eye on her. Well, this whole time, Danny kind of seen the light, shining, and finally stopped drinking, which kind of undilutes his shining and makes him strong again. Well, the little girl sees Danny's light and starts communicating with him telepathically, and just they meet up. And they realize that they have to team up to defeat these creature, entity, people, things before they kill anybody else or themselves. And throughout the movie, they pay tons of homage, and there's tons of references to The Shining. You learn more about The Shining, and it's just a great movie that connects to the Dark Towers. So, my review of Stephen King's Doctor Sleep. And just to be honest, this is just one of the best sequels I've seen to a movie. And no, it's not better than The Shining, but it's its own unique movie that has its own identity that just was insanely good and has great throwbacks to just The Shining in general, especially at the very end where they battle at the hotel. Very, very great. But as just The Shining is just a hardcore horror movie, this is easily still a horror movie, of course, but it splits more off into like the fantasy world of the Dark Tower. Now, clearly, the Dark Tower is still this horror universe, but when it comes to The Shining, it's more like abilities and gifts and stuff like that. And they just really just go full blown into that, and I loved it because I can't get enough of the Dark Tower, and I am 100% eventually going to make a list about all of Stephen King's movies that connect with the Dark Tower movie. Well, novels, because the movie is just the end of the novels. And then kind of talk about how these movies are connected and stuff like that. Because I just absolutely love this Dark Tower universe. I mean, I just love it. So, yeah, this movie had great acting. When they did use practical effects, they were very good. It was messed up. It was still a horror movie. The story was excellent, obviously, because it's just honestly the strongest part of this movie. Just absolutely an amazing sequel. And the fact that it's like 30 years later and they just nailed it is very, very good and impressive. So, my recommendation for Dr. Sleep, and if you've seen The Shining, watching Dr. Sleep is a must watch. But if you haven't seen The Shining, then Dr. Sleep is a highly recommended. It goes back and forth. I mean, I don't know if the movie's so good that I would be like, it's a must see by itself. But yeah, definitely for sure highly recommended. But then it goes back to if you've just watched The Shining. Like, I just watched The Shining a week ago, so yeah, so good. It's definitely between a must see and a highly recommended, but we'll stick with a highly recommended for now.